there you have it, guys. White rice is now 1J less. So yeah, I mean, it was time. I was ready for the K member and all that to put into the black car. So I needed to get the motor out so we could start installing that stuff. Mostly K member, A-arms, caster camber plates, the coilovers, all that. It's got to transfer over. So yeah, that was the next step, pull the motor. So you know what I find interesting is that 3 years ago when I bought this motor, okay, I paid $1,400 plus shipping. So shipping was, I think, 2 something, and so it brought it to, I don't know, $1,750 or something like that. And now 3 years later, pulling this motor out, it's worth probably $3,500, and it's, you know, been beat on pretty bad. So I just find that interesting how prices have gone the way they have. I don't know if, you know, they'll come back down or not. I don't really know. So, but anyway, that was just something I was thinking of as I was pulling it out. I'm like, this thing's worth double of what it was when I put it in. So, but yeah, everything came out real easy, no issues whatsoever. I picked up a couple little casters for you know, just for this to wheel it around. Harbor Freight, like $7 for those. So they carry 1,000 pounds each. So it's very dirty right now. It's got a lot of grease and dirt and dust. But yeah, once I get this all cleaned up, this car is actually like really mint condition. I mean, it's there's no rust whatsoever on it. It's got really good shock towers, really good frame rails. Underneath there's no rust. So this is going to be a really good car for, you know, whatever I want to do with it in the future. So yeah, and over the weekend I was actually doing a little bit of pulling some of the wiring too. So I pulled the whole entire harness out of the engine bay and brought it in here. So there's actually a few things I'm going to change as far as the wiring and all that. So like right now I'm running the which is just extra wires, is the AEM gauge, okay, the wideband. So what I do is I run the wideband and then I run the analog output of that into the ECU master. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is I'm just gonna wire it directly to the EMU black. So the black has onboard O2 sensing. It can do the LS 4.2 or 4.9, so that'll eliminate some of that. And honestly, I never even look at that gauge, so you know, it all is on my laptop anyway. What else am I gonna, the boost gauge, I'm gonna take that out too. I'm not gonna have the boost gauge because it only goes to 30 psi, and I've been over that, so it's not really gonna help me to look at that. What else? I'm gonna keep the oil pressure gauge. I do like having a mechanical oil pressure gauge that I can glance at, and I have a spot for it already in the black car. So yeah, that's the only thing I'm gonna be reusing is the oil pressure gauge. I don't know if I'm gonna go like with an aftermarket dash, maybe. I don't know, we'll see on that. But honestly, when you're drag racing, you can't really look down at the dash anyway. I mean, the only thing you really need to look at is like a shift light, which I have a shift light, but you're not, I mean, when you're drag racing, you're not gonna look down and see what your AFRs are. You're not gonna look down and see where your RPMs are. You just go off the shift light. You know, there's just too much going on and too much you have to pay attention to when you're drag racing. So I don't really see the point of it, having gauges. But anyway, yeah, so we got it out. Oh, here's a little trick for you. If you guys wanna take a motor out of your car without taking the hood off, just prop it up like straight up and down, you know, put a strap on it. I've always done that. I've never seen anybody do that, but I've always done that. Yeah, and also we got, I installed the line lock yesterday too. So I got quite a bit done yesterday in a pretty cool little spot tucked up underneath here. So bent some lines around and got that all installed. So it looks really clean over here. This is all you're gonna see. Just that and 2 lines going in. I may remake this line because it didn't come out exactly how I want it to. This line, I kind of want it to come out straight, bend, and then this way. And I messed up a little bit and made it too short, so I had to kind of run it straight. I don't like the way it looks. I want it to come off more like this one here, off this way and then bent. Same with this one, off this way and then bent. It'll give it a little bit of room for play. So I'll probably redo that one. But anyway, yeah, that looks good. So it's all ready to go as far as the brakes go. Yeah, and I took the fuel cell out, mounted that. Well, got it kind of mocked up. That works really good. Fits nice. Plenty of room here for the fittings. Just got to drill some holes and bolt that in. There and back there. Mounted the nitrous bottle holder. Ran the nitrous line. And yeah, mounted the battery into the battery tray. So yeah, I've been getting quite a bit done here. So just kind of wanted to show you guys pulling the motor out of this car. And yeah. End of an era. So let me get this rolled into the garage, and I'll kind of go over what a few things I'm going to do to the motor before we put it in the other car. There's a few changes I'm going to make, so let me get that in there, and yeah, we'll go from there. Alrighty, so that works really good. Just rolls nice and easy on those casters, and yeah, kind of a nice way to move it around the shop. So, okay, so what are we going to do to this thing? One thing I've been wanting to do is delete this crossover, the water crossover. I'm gonna have to make a plate to cover this on the water pump. I know that like a lot of guys that run these motors, it's mostly drift guys that run these motors. And they say not to delete that crossover because of the water that circulates through the back of the head here. Okay, so there's a pipe that comes out here and connects up with this pipe. Okay, and then also there's another pipe that goes up to the throttle body. So they actually cool the throttle body on these too. So I don't need any of that. Drag racing, it's just not as big of a deal. I mean, you're making a quick pass, you shut it off, you cool it off. So I'm gonna delete that, okay? What else? There's quite a few unused vacuum ports, okay, that I have these like little rubber stoppers on, and I kind of want to just cut those off and like weld them shut. I don't want those rubber, you know, these rubber things failing. So I just would probably just unscrew it and weld that shut. There's another vacuum port right here that I was using for the brake booster, but obviously we don't need the brake booster anymore, so I can weld that one shut too, okay? So, what else? There's a few over here as well. There's a vacuum port here that I was using, no, this one I was using for the boost gauge. I'm not gonna be using that. I come off of, for my, the map signal, I come off of this port right here. So most likely what I'm gonna end up doing is getting an aftermarket map sensor, one that can go up to maybe 5 or 6 bar, because the onboard map is only goes to 400 kPa. So we're getting close to that. Like I peaked out on that 615 pass around 360 kPa. So that doesn't leave much room to grow from there at all. So, and we still had fuel to go. So I'm gonna need to get a different map sensor. But I can always, with that, I've made this block off plate right here for the idle control valve. And what I can do is tap this and thread it for, you know, a map sensor, you know, an aftermarket map sensor. So probably gonna do that. And then just clean up a few things on the intake. There's another little port here that it's a vacuum port. I probably won't do anything with that. As you can see here, this is where they cool the throttle body with the water coming through there. Kind of an interesting design. They really, you know, thought a lot about the cooling of this motor, and you know, the oiling and all that. So that's why they're really good engines. So we have another port here that's blocked off. I believe that's the same thing in the head. I think that is water as well. So I'm gonna need to figure out maybe something, thread a pipe plug in there or something like that. So there's just a lot of things I want to tidy up. So, but other than that, I'm really not going to touch anything. As far as I'm not going to open the motor up at all. I really want to try to run this bone stock. There's a few people that have posted, I don't know if it's true or not, but stock 1Js, I doubt they were stock, okay? I'm not gonna mention any names, but it's actually local to Orlando. They've kind of posted that they've been in mid-8s on a stock 1J. Now what their idea of stock 1J and my idea of a stock 1J might be different. This has stock cams, stock valve springs, stock everything. So I kind of doubt that those guys were doing that with, you know, stock valve springs and stock cams and all that, because that's usually the first thing people change is the cams and valve springs. Okay, this here is totally stock intake. The only thing that's, you know, aftermarket would be injectors and turbo. So I do want to try to get into the 8s with this, with it just plain bone stock out of a Japanese car from Japan. I think that would be pretty cool. And then from there we'll change things up. And I'll show you exactly what I mean by change things up. Okay. So about a week ago, I went on Facebook Marketplace and found a 2J. Okay, this block here, and this is a 2J GE head. Okay, this is the GE with the distributor drive on it. So there's a few things you have to do to the GE heads to get them to work with, you know, sequential fuel and sequential firing and all that. We have to add a cam sensor on the back there and block this off. And yeah, and I have a crank here too. That crank is actually needs to be ground. It looks like the motor ran out of oil and it scored up the rod journals. So, but they're all stock size, so which is good, and the bore is stock on the block. Okay. So this will be like a future project that we're going to be working on once, you know, we get this installed and we start running it and taking it to the track, having fun with it, see if we can get into the 8s. On the side, I'll be building this. Okay, so we're going to do pistons, rods, get the crank ground, and pretty much it'll be pretty easy to move over like the oil pan. Okay, the oil pan should bolt right up to that motor. The, you know, motor mounts, everything should be the same. You can even use the water pump. I can use the oil pump. I can use all that. So, and all the sensors and the crank trigger, all that. I can use all that stuff. So we'll build the short block. Okay, we'll get the head all, you know, fixed up, do cams and all that. So we can really step the game up then. It would be, I mean, I can put rods and pistons in this and you can easily make, you know, 1200 horsepower in that. No problem whatsoever, even with the stock crank. And I really do want to use this 2J head just because of the size difference in the ports. I'll give you a little example of what I mean by that. Okay, these are the exhaust ports here on this 2J head. Okay, and maybe see if I can find something to give you guys a reference of exactly what I'm talking about. Okay, so yeah, anyway, what I was saying is I just wanted to give you guys an example of kind of the difference in size of, you know, how much this head's gonna flow compared to a 1J head. You can look at this exhaust port here and it measures 1.25 inches across, okay? 1.25 inches, hope you all can see that. Now I have another 1J head over here that I was going to kind of build up and maybe turn like into a 1.5J. But look at the difference in the port size. I mean, if you look at this port compared to the 2J head, it's barely 1 inch. Okay, it is 1 inch this way, but this way it's about 3/4 of an inch. So 3/4 of an inch, 1 inch, and the intake port's the same. It's much bigger as well. But I'm only showing you guys the exhaust right now. And this one is basically 1.25 inches all the way around. So, and I've already taken a valve out of this motor and compared it to a valve on the 1J head, and it's much bigger. Okay, so this head's gonna make more power, no doubt. Okay, it does need to be gone all the way through and taken to a machine shop and, you know, have some new valves ground into it and all that, because it's all stock stuff. Okay, stock valve springs and all that, and probably do shimless buckets, you know, and just build it right, you know, and take my time while we're playing with this, and yeah, we'll go from there. Hopefully, and like I said, you know, as far as bolting everything on, you know, we can the transmission adapter plate that'll bolt on as well. This whole thing will go right to that motor, no problems whatsoever. So yeah, I'm pretty excited how far this has come and in a short amount of time. We have a shelf here just full of parts. This is what I was doing yesterday, was taking all these parts apart off the car. Here's the upper control arms. Got the rears here. Here's the turbo. Turbo's in great shape, no issues whatsoever. Just gonna probably clean it up a little bit. The downpipe, we're probably gonna do something different with the downpipe. I was thinking maybe do like hood exit, just turn the pipe straight up and come out of the hood right here. I think that would be pretty cool looking. And or I had another kind of idea in my head of coming out right here, cut a hole here, bring the pipe down here, and then side exit right here. I like the way that looks too. But yeah, I mean, it's all coming together pretty quickly. So in the next day or two, I'm gonna have that K-member in this car. Okay, I'm gonna have the caster camber plates in. I'm gonna have the shocks in. I'm gonna have everything in. So, and at that point, I can slide the motor right in and start bolting everything together and start running wires for the you know, the engine harness and all that. So, but anyway, I just wanted to show you guys pulling the motor and show you where I was at, and also show you the 2J setup that we got going on. And yeah, that's gonna do it for this video, guys. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Probably didn't learn anything. Pulling a motor is pretty simple. But anyway, that's where we're at, and we'll keep moving on from there. That's gonna do it, guys. Check y'all later.